You see someone struggling with heavy bags at the bus stop, and your first instinct is to help. But then you remember you're on your way to a job interview you can't afford to miss. You watch a friend post about needing money for an emergency, and you open your wallet to find exactly enough for your own groceries this week. You pass someone asking for food and you want to stop, you genuinely want to stop, but you're calculating whether you can skip lunch tomorrow to make it work. And in all these moments, there's this feeling, not just guilt, something heavier, like your heart is writing checks your life can't cash. Like you're constantly caught between who you want to be and what you're able to do. And the worst part, you start wondering if a good heart even matters when you can't back it up with action. But here's what most people miss. What you're experiencing isn't a character flaw. It's not weakness. It's not even about the money. It's about living in the gap between your emotional capacity and your material reality. And that gap does something very specific to your brain. Because when you have deep empathy but limited resources, you don't just feel bad for others. You feel their pain as if it's your own. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish well between someone else's suffering and your personal crisis. So when you see someone in need, your body responds as though you are the one in need. Your heart rate increases. Your stress hormones spike. Your brain activates the same regions that light up during physical pain, except you can't solve it, you can't fix it. And your brain knows this, so it does something cruel. It turns that helplessness inward. This is why people with big hearts and empty pockets often carry a specific kind of shame. It's not just about what they can't give, it's about feeling like their compassion is useless. Like, empathy without action is just emotional theater. But that's not how empathy works. Empathy isn't a transaction. It's not measured in dollars or gifts or grand gestures. It's the ability to witness someone's humanity and let it matter to you. And that alone changes something in the world, even when your hands are empty. Think about the friend who listens to you cry at 2 a.m., who has no solutions, no money to lend, no connections to offer. But they stay. They sit with you in it. That presence, that witnessing, that refusal to look away, it matters. It registers. Not because it solves the problem, but because it reminds you that you're not invisible. And for someone with a big heart and limited means, this is what they give, over and over. Time, attention, the willingness to feel what others won't let themselves feel. But here's the part nobody tells you. The brain doesn't reward you for this. Society doesn't reward you for this. We live in a world that worships visible generosity. The donation with your name on it, the viral fundraiser, the big check at the charity gala. And when your generosity is invisible, when it's made of moments and presence and emotional labor, you start to internalize the idea that you're not actually helping, that you're pretending, that your kindness is performative because it doesn't come with receipts. And this creates a very specific psychological split. On one side, you feel everything. You care deeply, sometimes too deeply. On the other side, you feel powerless. And the more you care without being able to act in the ways you wish you could, the more your brain starts to see your own empathy as a burden. You begin to resent the size of your heart because it feels like a liability in a world that runs on resources you don't have. This is where the guilt becomes chronic. You're not just guilty about saying no to someone in need, you're guilty about needing things yourself. About spending money on your own life when you know someone else is suffering. About choosing rest when someone could use your help, about existing in your own survival while being painfully aware of everyone else's. And over time, this creates a quiet, constant self-erasure. You stop seeing your own needs as valid. You stop asking for help because you've spent so much time wishing you could give it. You become smaller and smaller in your own life, as if taking up space is a betrayal of the compassion you carry. And this is where it gets interesting, because what looks like selflessness on the outside is often self-punishment on the inside. You're not just helping others because you're kind, You're helping others because it's the only time you feel like you're enough. Like your existence is justified. Like you're paying rent on the space you occupy in the world. And when you can't help, that justification disappears. You're left with this hollow feeling, like you've failed at the one thing that made you matter. But here's what's actually happening. You're carrying an internalized belief that your worth is conditional, that you only deserve care if you're useful. That love is something you earn by being endlessly available, endlessly giving, endlessly self-sacrificing, and this belief didn't come from nowhere. It came from a world that taught you that vulnerability is weakness, that needing help is shameful, that value is measured in productivity and contribution and how much you can give before you break. And when you grow up in scarcity, whether emotional or financial, this belief gets even deeper, because scarcity teaches you that resources are finite, that there's never enough, that if you take, someone else loses. So you learn to shrink, to ration your own needs, to find identity in being the person who asks for nothing and gives everything, even when you're running on empty. And as you get older, this doesn't go away. It just shapeshifts. In your 20s, it looks like overextending yourself for friends who wouldn't do the same. In your 30s, it looks like raising kids while neglecting yourself entirely. In your 40s, it looks like bitterness you can't explain, resentment toward people you genuinely love. Because the math never added up. You gave and gave and gave, and somehow you're still the one without. But the brain wasn't doing this to hurt you. It was doing this to protect you. Because in environments where you had to earn love, being helpful was survival. Being useful meant you wouldn't be abandoned. Being the giver meant you controlled the narrative. You were needed. And being needed felt safer than being wanted because need is concrete. Want is conditional. Need is a lock. Want is a door that can close. So your big heart wasn't just kindness, it was strategy. It was your nervous system finding a way to belong in a world that didn't make space for you unless you made yourself useful. And now, even when you're older, even when the environment has changed, the pattern remains, because it's not about logic, it's about safety. And the brain will choose familiar pain over uncertain peace every single time. And here's the truth that no one says out loud. Having a big heart with limited means doesn't make you noble. It doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. It makes you someone navigating an impossible contradiction, trying to reconcile the size of your empathy with the smallness of your power. And that's not a flaw. That's just what it feels like to be alive in a world that wasn't built for softness. You are not failing because you can't save everyone. You are not selfish because you have needs. You are not less valuable because your generosity doesn't come with a price tag. The heart that breaks for others, that notices, that cares even when it costs you, that heart is not a weakness. It's the thing that makes you human in a world that constantly asks you to be less. And maybe the work isn't learning to give more. Maybe it's learning that you were always enough, even with empty hands.